Hey everybody, I'm Doug Mark with 5 franchising questions, and I'm really excited today. I finally have Emily George in the hot seat. She is the Senior Client Coordinator for Franchise Business Review, also known as FBR. Thank you so much for joining me, Emily.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad we could do this.
Can you just tell us a little bit about Franchise Business Review and how you support the franchising space?
Absolutely. So Franchise Business Review, at our heart, we are a market research firm. We do satisfaction surveys, franchisee satisfaction, and employee engagement surveys with franchise brands. And we help bring really actionable insights to those brands based on real-time feedback from the people who matter most, so that those brands can continue to grow and develop in the right ways. So like really leveraging franchisee satisfaction to make sure they're continuing to develop the system. And I think, we're all feeling the pinch of hiring and retention right now. So what is more important than employee engagement feedback at this point? And utilizing that to make sure you're bringing in the right people and that you're keeping the right people as brands continue to grow.
Wow, that's awesome. And what's so great for me is that I meet so many people at the conferences and trade shows, and I know a lot about their business, but I don't entirely know the inner workings of it. And whenever we meet and I learn more, from someone like you, I realize this is something that every single LearningZen client could be utilizing our services, which is tremendous to hear, because we're always, trying to advise our clients on people that we love to work with and people that we trust, and they're always, hungry for that information. So that's really, really cool. And this is a relatively new gig for you, because you were in the franchising space before. So you kind of stayed home, I feel like, as well. How long have you been with FBR now?
So I've been with FBR since August of 21, so just over 6 months. And it was 100% a very intentional choice to stay in franchising.
Yes.
And when the opportunity presented itself to work with Michelle and Eric and the team at Franchise Business Review, I just couldn't pass it up. And to be able to do the kind of work that we do, and you're 100% right, there isn't a brand that couldn't in some way benefit from the work that FBR does.
So obviously you've stuck around the franchising space. I mean, you were there with RevLocal before, and now here you are with FBR. What is it about franchising that you love so much?
So I came from hospitality. I think a lot of people know that I was a super professional bartender for a number of years. And you talk about franchising being family. Hospitality is very family oriented also. I mean, literally hospitality is family by choice for so many reasons, because of, the diversity of people who choose to make that their life and their livelihood. And when I left hospitality, there was just no better fit than franchising. I had a chance to kind of learn about franchising from a couple of gentlemen that I got to know here in the Columbus area. Daryl Van Lichten was the president of Wendy's International, and his business partner, John May, was the CEO of Arby's.
Wow.
So I got to learn franchising from two masters in QSR, and they sold me on the business model, sold me on, franchising in general. When I had the chance to go to RevLocal and start going to some of the franchise shows, I was like the new kid on the block, and I didn't really know a whole lot of people. And at first I was very intimidated by the space, because there is such a family feel. When you come in from the outside of that, it can be a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But I just started to kind of see a few common faces. And I think about Jack Monson, and I think about Sarah Beth, and I think about Marianne O'Connell and Amy Chang, and some of those first people that I started to see at multiple shows, and then just getting up the courage to go up and introduce myself and realize how quick they are to welcome new people to the fold.
Yeah.
And, I just got stuck and
Yeah.
got really enamored by the people and the business and the brands. And, you know, sorry guys, but like good luck ever getting me out of franchising now.
The other thing I love about franchising is that I think people forget about this one a lot, which is that like every franchisee is a small business owner.
Yes.
This is a local person, right? Somebody who's
Yep.
going to be playing soccer with your kids or something like that.
Right.
And they're, you know, they really love the idea of franchising because they don't have to be the entire entrepreneur and come up with the concept itself, but they do get to have the independence of a small business owner. And that's what another thing I love about this space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love everything you had to say about that.
Yeah, well, and you're so right on that small business piece. And that was another element that was really attractive to me because I'm a big fan that like multiple things can be true at once. And often things that seem to be like competing can be true at once. And that is franchising. This idea that franchise brands can be very big, behemoth, massive organizations. They can be that. And franchisees can also be small business owners intimately connected to their communities.
Yeah.
Both of those things are true simultaneously. And I love that about this space.
When you're on the road and you're traveling, are there some brands that you kind of gravitate towards, you know, when you're away from home and you're kind of missing home? Because the beauty of franchising is that I can find that taste of home wherever I am oftentimes. And I love that. Do you have any brands that you kind of gravitate to when you're on the road?
Oh, man. Yes. So I am a fan of a few things. And I love this question because I have friends who are not related to franchising at all, but know what I do and know what I love. And they will like send me pictures when they run into one of these brands. I'm like, yeah, guys, I get it. They're everywhere. But I love it that you thought of me. So the things that Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Okay. Yeah.
I will like hunt down a Nothing Bundt Cakes, like snip it out of the air. I just love them so much. And they bring me so much joy anywhere I can find them. Also, I'm a big fan of the massage space.
Yes.
I happen to be a regular member of Massage Envy in my area. And so I love that I can kind of take that membership with me on the road. But I'm also always looking, like I keep a list of franchise brands that don't exist in my area.
Yeah.
And I like look for it. Like anytime I'm traveling to a new place, I'll do like a quick Google search of, is there a Perspire sauna studio in this area that I can go to? I love like weird legacy fast food brands.
Yes.
So I'm also like, I'm looking for the last two Arthur Treachers that exist in the country. I've finally been able to check off Iraq's roast beef. I'm looking for like what are also the weird regional franchises. So I kind of bounce back between like some of my old favorites and like some of the more regionally specific brands. So when I was with RevLocal is a really big partner with Yext. And one of the Yext team members came out to do our RevLocal annual conference. And one of the things she talked about is at Yext, they talk about a red thread. And there is a red thread that goes through everything that Yext touches. And it doesn't matter from like the highest level of the organization to like the lowest level of the organization. Every action they take, they think about how are they pulling this red thread through that is their core values, their mission, and how it extends out to every person that they touch.
Wow.
And that was so impactful to me. And I have continued to think about like that specific way of framing it, but I think it's a broad way of saying everything that you communicate, whether it's a training video, a newsletter, or like every email you send, every voicemail you leave, every piece of content, that is an opportunity to pull a red thread and help the world see what you do and why you do it. And if you're not thinking about your company culture and your company values, and you're not finding creative and nuanced ways to include that language in everything you do, you're missing huge opportunities. And it does not need to be blatant. Like one of our core values is curiosity. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how curiosity, like you don't need to beat people over the head with it, but you can leverage language around curiosity and a thirst for knowledge and, like peppering those things and just getting it into people's minds through some back doors. Just like take advantage of any opportunity to pull a red thread. Okay.
Can you tell us how Whiskey Wednesdays got started?
Whiskey Wednesdays got started with Pete Baldine and David Chapman at the very, very beginning of the pandemic when they couldn't get together. They did virtual toasts. I started to see it on LinkedIn. And somebody, Cater Danford from Northeast Color, I think at some point reached out to me and said, you should be doing these Whiskey Wednesdays. And at the time I was with Rev Local and didn't want to cause a kerfuffle. And I wasn't sure, like I didn't know the guys at 919 Marketing. I didn't, want to cause any animosity, but I, on a whim, reached out to Graham Chapman and just said, hey, like, how does a person get involved? Would it be an issue if I got involved? And he was overwhelmingly welcoming and just said, like, just throw a video up. And I just so happened to have, 500 bottles of liquor in my basement. And that caught people's eye. And I started to get a lot of questions about it. And I just kept doing the videos. And for me, like, that was a world I lived in for so long, and to get to share bits and pieces of that and to still leverage some of that knowledge that's tucked away in my brain it's a whole lot of a good time. And it's now just turned into like a whole other thing. I have made friends because of Whiskey Wednesday. Amanda House will be my ride or die until the end of time because of Whiskey Wednesday. It's just amazing. Awesome.
Can you, tell me what is your favorite moment at an IFA that you've ever seen, been to, or been part of?
Yeah, it's really hard to pick like just one moment from an IFA. But one thing I'll say that was a really wonderful first experience and has kind of kept me coming back are the Women's Franchise Committee meetings.
Yeah.
The first time someone told me that like you can just show up and sit in, and I did. And, kind of like yourself, I am shy by nature. My like worst nightmare is a room where I don't know anybody. But like if I know one person, cool, I have an anchor. I'll know the whole room by the end. But I walked into this Women's Franchise Committee meeting and I'll never forget it. Paul Pickett was there. I had no idea who he was at the time, but like what an amazing personality. And he was talking about how he was wearing socks that had Michelle Rowan's face on them. And then Amanda House walked in. I didn't know her at the time. She was on crutches. And like looking back and remembering that meeting and thinking about all of the people that were in that room that now have such a huge place in my life, like that's a really fun memory. And the WFC always starts a committee meeting with the best icebreaker questions ever. So like we've done your favorite Amazon purchase that you can't live without, like the thing you buy on Amazon that you just keep buying on Amazon. There are things I still buy on Amazon because of those suggestions. We've done like the one thing you always pack in a suitcase that you can't travel without. I think like 10 of us bought a travel steamer that day. So like I love those meetings and those icebreakers and those people.
Last question. It should be an easy one. It's hypothetical again. It's 2029. You're the president of IFA. What city are we holding IFA in that year?
Oh, wow. Salt Lake City. I've never been to Salt Lake City and I would love the excuse to go. So maybe Salt Lake City.
Well, I don't know if you intended that to be a layup for me, but thank you very much. So I mentioned the fact that I'm in DC, but our corporate office is in Salt Lake City. So Emily, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Here's a chance for you to kind of tell people how to get in contact with you and also follow you and follow FBR. Please let them know how to get in touch with you.
You can email me, Emily at franchisebusinessreview.com. You can check out Franchise Business Review, franchisebusinessreview.com online. We're also active on the socials, so you're welcome to find us there. And for sure, connect with me on LinkedIn. That is where I still do the Whiskey Wednesdays, and I am pretty active on that platform, so would be happy to see you in my LinkedIn inbox anytime.
And that's how I found you. So this is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. You were awesome, as always.
Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
All right. Cheers, everybody. You can follow LearningZen. You can go to the website, learningzen.com. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and now on TikTok. So we'll see how that goes. Wait till I start dancing. All right. Thanks, Emily. We really appreciate
take care.
it. Bye.
Bye.